friends, welcome to this video. Welcome back. If you have been watching my videos, I really appreciate you. If you are a subscriber, thank you so much. If you're not a subscriber and you decide after watching that you like this video, please hit that button, somewhere around there. I would really appreciate that. It will help me out tremendously in building the channel. So let me get you guys caught up before I talk to you about some makes and what's coming up. If you have been following along, you know I've been looking for some new work, and I did have 2 job interviews last week. The first one, I guess it's kind of like a second interview because we had Zoomed prior. I think I told you like the communication was like misfiring a couple times, where I followed up with the head of school and I was like, hey, submitted an application, haven't heard anything. And she replied with, oh, I sent you a message in Indeed. And I was like, I didn't see that. And then we had a video conference inside of the Indeed platform, and I thought that I was ready to go, and then I caught an email saying like your other person is waiting for you, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I was late getting onto the video conference. But then I did hear from her a few days later, and she said, I would like to invite you to come and shadow for a day. And that was on Wednesday. So I got there at about 8 in the morning, and I spent the whole day with a group of 6, what I would call middle school students, but it's a Montessori school. It's a tiny school. They call it a micro school, although I think that they do want to grow. But as for right now, it would be a class of 8, and I would be with them all day. And it's just really nice. Like, they have all this land, and they grow chickens, and they were getting started with a garden. And just a really nice school environment where I think I would enjoy working if I was going to go back and work in a school again. I have not been hired yet, so I can't be too excited about it. And then yesterday I had a second interview at a regular kindergarten through 8th grade school in a special education position. Now, I am not a licensed special education teacher yet, but they could hire me with the expectation that I would take and pass several exams to get licensed. But I don't know, like I just kind of noticed on Wednesday when I got home, I felt very energized and excited to talk about what had happened that day. But then yesterday after that interview, I just felt kind of exhausted. So I think I know which one I would choose if offered both. Now, of course, I'm going to take the one that's offered. Hopefully one of those 2 will be offered because I am really ready to get out of the house again. I didn't think I wanted to work in a school, but it's November and I'm just not really having much luck with any other kind of work right now. So anyway, I will hopefully have an update for you. If not, well, probably if I do a market recap video on Monday, I won't have anything for you then, but stay tuned. Keep watching if that's interesting to you. So last week I had shown you the astronaut that I was almost done with. That was my last make for the 10th week of Crochet Roulette. So let me show you the fully finished one. Here he is. He's big, so you can see how big he is. I think as of last week I had not done the back yet. So there he is, 100% done. And I did say this in the last video, this was a pattern by Lion Brand that I had just found as a PDF online. I pinned it, so I will share that link for you. I don't know if it's the whole pattern. I kind of have a suspicion that it's a paid pattern that somebody partially uploaded because there were no pictures of the back. It was just one picture of the front, and I just read the directions and imagined in my head what the back should look like, which is fine. I mean, I'm, like experienced enough to be able to figure out how to make a backpack, but I'm not really sure about this pattern. I recommend it. I just don't know why it was there as a PDF for free and if it's the whole thing or not. I really just don't know. I had the idea, and I think I shared this last time, that I wanted to make the astronaut and then a series of aliens in all of these colors. So I did that, and I worked in backwards order from purple to red, so that's how I'm going to show them to you. This is the first one. think it looks more like a bunny than an alien, but if somebody picks it up and says it's a bunny, that's what it's gonna be. It's a little funny looking, or maybe the eyes, I'm not really sure. This pattern is by the Friendly Red Fox. It's really the mushy boy with these antennae instead of the mushroom cap, but it is exactly the same pattern, and it was okay, but I decided I was going to try multiple alien patterns. So if I'm going to keep moving backwards, I made this one inspired by a pattern by Croutons Crochet, but I wasn't looking at the pictures and I wasn't reading it very well because this eye is actually supposed to go on the top. I mean, there's no rule saying I have to do it exactly according to the pattern. I think I was thinking about this one when I was doing it, and I popped the eye in the front, but also it was probably a little bit easier to put it here than on the top and have the eye actually pointing outward and not upwards. So I think this one's pretty cute anyway, maybe a little like $5 or even $3 make. And then I made these two using the alien pattern by Ollie and Holly. I like this one better. I think the shape of the head is a little bit more like an alien. Otherwise, they are really similar patterns. And then I made these. These are Zap the Brain Eating Slug by Mommy Gurumi. I was getting lazy by the time I got to the yellow one, so I took some shortcuts on this frill right here. I think I just was a little bit more careful about making this one, but I don't know if a buyer would necessarily notice the difference between the two, but I do like these. So in total, we got red, orange, yellow, green, this aqua color that I'm using for blue, and purple. So I have 6 aliens to go with my astronaut and my spaceship that is somewhere buried in all my stuff, and I will bring that out later when, just for reference. This one's little. I think I would make more of these. I did like this alien as a quick little $10 make. All right, and then I had some scrap yarn, so I made a little tiny mallard. This, I might pop a keychain on this, as I don't even know if I could get $8 for that, but it was a really great use of scraps. I just had a tiny little bit of this brown color. I think it was left over from a splooting deer that I made, and then after making this alien, had a tiny little bit of this green left. Free on Ribbler, and as always, there is a Google Doc in the description to this video with links to all the patterns of things that I am showing you right now. And then after the aliens, I wanted to make a dragon. This is another free pattern. Let me check actually. Who is this by? This is by Crochet by Dania, D-A-N-I-A. Free on Ribbler, called Lazy Dragon. Here it is. Not bad for a free pattern. It was actually pretty quick too. Definitely quicker than other dragons that I have made in the past. For what it is, you know, it does lay nicely on a table, but I kind of feel like the head droops down, where I'm wondering if it would be cuter if it kind of went up. I don't know. The wings are nice, but then you can see like the ugly side a little bit too easily. Maybe a paid pattern might be a little bit better quality, but not bad for a free one. And then to do these spikes, what I did, this was not in the pattern, but I took the gray yarn and sewed from this part of the head all the way down to the tail, and then I used those stitches to crochet in these, what are these called? Scales? That's how I did it. It did help. I think it just helped me make a straight line, and you know, somebody's gonna love it. He is cute. I just think there are better dragon patterns out there, but for, you know, it was free, so I'm not gonna be too critical of it. And then the last 3 were things that I have made before. I made a blackberry cow. The original pattern is for a strawberry cow, but I had this purple yarn that, oh, this is from the alien. little bit of the purple left. This one uses color changes for the spots. I've done other patterns where you make the spots separately and then sew them on. I don't know which one's quicker, but normally I don't like the result of doing the color changes like that, but I'm not mad about it. Now, this spot, I think is, well, I mean, you know, no rules anyway. I mean, it's supposed to be on the side of the head, but of course with my tension and from starting here and getting all the way to the head, I think the count got a little bit off from my tension to the author's tension, but I mean, that's fine. To have the spot back there, I kind of feel something's funny with the horns, but otherwise very cute. I think I'm being overly critical. I don't think anybody else will pick that up and say the horns are crooked. I like this little blackberry bag that I made too. And then yesterday, this is one of those things. I made Hello Kitty. I've done this pattern many times before. There's one thing that I did differently. Normally, you do the head and leave it open, but more than usual, now every time I make this, the head can be like a little domey on the top. So what I did, instead of having like a dome on the top and then trying to push my stuffing out to smooth out the head a little bit, I ended up closing the head entirely and then flipping it upside down and then using this domey part as a neck, which I think was a good idea because this is nice and flat here, but now that I'm looking at it in the camera, it's okay. Maybe it's the nose is too wide. I don't know. I just feel like there's something a little bit derpy about it. And I did do the embroidery on the eyes instead of the safety eyes because I don't have any just like black oval eyes or black circle eyes that are big enough for this head. I also wanted to make it baby safe because most of what I have been making has safety eyes on it. The more I look at it, I'm like, okay, I'm being a little bit too critical. I did notice right away that I had put the ears too far back. So I ended up moving the bow like quite a bit forward and there's a little bit of extra space here. I've done this pattern so many times. I don't know if I would just like start over from scratch and find an entirely different Hello Kitty, but I think I'm gonna keep continuing to play with this head because I'm not thrilled about the way it turned out. I think I've made other ones in the past that were cuter. This pink was what was available at Walmart. This is the Mainstays yarn, which I found in white, and then this was the only shade of pink that I was able to find. They had a red, but I don't know, that didn't really seem like a Hello Kitty color, but somebody is gonna pick this up and love it, maybe Little Baby. And then this is my favorite. I saved this one for last. I have finally found a sea turtle pattern that I love, and it was free. And it is by, I believe it was called Barbells. It was free on Ribbler because that's how I find all my patterns. Bobbins and Barbells. It was totally no sew. You make the head and the fins, the front fins, back fins, and the tail and the shell, and then you attach the rest of the body to the shell. Everything is crocheted in. I was being extra careful to make sure that when I crocheted in the head that I got the eyes to line up, so I was really happy about the result there. I think I did kind of use some sewing to make him straighter than it was when I had originally crocheted it in, but I love, I don't know what it is, I got it buying somebody's stash on Facebook Marketplace, but I love this variegated yarn to make a sea turtle body, and I really like how it coordinates with this blue. I really like the color choices, and then I did these gold eyes. There is an extra row here because when I was attaching the shell to the body, I think I got distracted and lost count, and when I got to the stitch marker, instead of trying to go back and count these stitches, that's just hard, I think I just went ahead and did another row to make sure that I had the count just right to start crocheting in the body parts. But I am definitely making more of these. Very happy with it. It was not quick the first time. There was a little bit of a learning curve, especially because the head is done over 2 rows, like you you do 6 stitches and then you go back around and you do the other 6. So there was a little bit of making sure that I was crocheting the body parts in the right order and everything. But overall, I am pleased.